Okay, so make sure this thing is working here. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is try to go through this iRods setup as fast as I can. Right now I have a base. If you need to go to the okay, so what we'll do is start with loading your virtual machine and opening Firefox and going to pgl.web.unc.edu and looking for the iRods training install. Having this within the VM just makes it easy to copy and paste the instructions as we go along. So we're using the basic learner VM that can be downloaded from iRods. I'm not going to go over that. But once you have that and you have the virtual machine opened up, you go to the terminal and then start following all these instructions. So if the terminal is loading up, the first thing we'll do is change directories to the downloads directory. Now you'll have to go ahead and go to the iRods download page and download this file and this file. It should go to your downloads directory, which is where my files are currently, and then you'll be able to follow along with me from here. So what we're going to do first is run this statement. So right click, copy, and right click, paste, and enter, and then enter your learner password, which you should already know from logging into the VM, which is just learner, unless you've changed it. So this first package that we're installing, we're just going to say yes to this because we wanted to install everything. This is to install, it's a dependencies package. You can read this text, it sort of goes over it, but I'm just blabbing on while this thing does its business. So first I want to make sure that I grab all the dependencies whenever I'm installing the iRods packages. So this is why I decided to run this particular setup. You may not need to do it, but I figure it probably better safe than sorry, because this process can take a while, and so when it fails, it can be very frustrating. As I've tried installing iRods many a time, and not being a Unix guru myself, there are many places that I can fail in this install. So I think I have it about right. I was successfully able to install basic iRods using steps that are outlined in this training. So hopefully I can reproduce it. Why I'm recording this right now is because I want to go back and check when you go through the setup, the actual setup script, after you've installed all the packages and you start this run the setup script. I suspect that using localhost as the database server name it was causing problems with ODBC. I seem to have run across something online that seemed to hint to that. There was some kind of dependency problem. Okay, now we have that installed. We're going to go ahead and install the database. We're going to install Postgres. So we copy, paste in the terminal, hit enter, and it starts going, and then we'll hit yes to continue, and it goes through that. So once we have Postgres database installed, we're going to install the ODBC drivers. Again, this step could probably be skipped because the iRods Postgres package is supposed to handle those dependencies, and they seem to be different ODBC packages that get installed with that. So I'm not even sure if this is even useful for this particular install, but I'm installing it anyway. I may skip this. Well, no, we'll go ahead and do that. Actually, I'll skip this step. All this does is install the Postgres GUI administrator. You don't really need it, but if you're a Windows user and you're familiar with using GUIs to access your database and things like that, it's nice to have. If you do install this pgadmin 3, you just simply go up here to the search box, type in pgadmin, and it'll show up under your programs. You double click it, and then it'll run it for you, because it doesn't automatically. Being a Windows user, and when you install stuff through Linux, at least Ubuntu, it doesn't drop the. Okay, let me stop here. Let me just go ahead and install those. Yes to continue. Just always yes to continue. I've never seen a reason for not continuing. Anyway, it just tells you that it's going to install such and such, and they want to confirm it. So you have to always say yes. So we're going to install the Postgres GUI admin just for giggles. And then after we do that, we're going to set up our database here. So it should just take a second. What else is there to go over? Pitfalls. Lessons learned. I can't think of too many because I don't know what I've learned, because I'm not sure what was correct and incorrect in my previous installs. So I'm sort of winging it here. Okay, now we have that. Now we want to switch to the Postgres user. So we copy this statement, paste it into. So as you see, is switch to Postgres, and then we'll simply type in PSQL to switch to the the SQL query. So I'm just using Control-C to copy this and paste it in here. This just allows you to run SQL statements within the terminal. You don't want to copy this because that's just the prompt, which is this. And then enter. So this creates the iCat database. We created the iRods users with test password, and then we grant all privileges on the iCat database. Paste, and then to get out of it, \Q. It doesn't say blah blah blah, and then you exit out because we want to get out of this user, and then we're back to learner. So we're back to our root user. Okay, what's next? All right, I think we're all set and ready to install the iRods package. Blah blah blah. So it's going to go through, say yes. Then to create a rule data system. Yep, looks correct. Okay, so we're on our way. So we'll install this, the iRods iCat package, and then we'll install the iRods database plugin for Postgres, and then it's just the setup script. Just the setup script, I say. As I mentioned before, this can be a painful process if you don't have very good documentation. So what I would suggest is that you create your own little web page or a Word document or whatever it is and document the steps you use for a successful install. I put it off and put it off and put it off initially, but ran through enough installs, failed installs, to know that it is helpful. Okay, welcome to iRods. Where are we now? Okay, process triggers, blah, blah, blah. Okay, now we're going to install the database plugin. Copy, paste, enter, and then we'll say yes here in a second. As soon as it finds its packages required, the dependencies. This takes a second. Okay, thinking, yes, continue. Is there anything else I'm missing? I don't believe so. So I'll just be quiet for a second while this completes. Okay, now we're done. All right, now for the big test. Copy, paste, enter. Okay, so I'm going to leave all this default. So all I'm going to do is enter through most of this stuff. So I'll leave this blank. I'll leave this as default. If you just hit enter, it just leaves everything as default. So I hit enter. Cannot be started. I'll just leave this temporary zone the same. Enter, 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 enter. And when you get to this point, you just enter. You're not going to be able to see what I'm typing here, but just enter whatever your password is for your iRods server administrator password. Doesn't matter what it is, but you need to remember it. So anyway, enter that, and then we want to confirm. So yes. Configuring, it's thinking, it's doing its business. Alright, database host name IP. This I think is important. So to successfully do this install, you want to use this, I believe. That's what got me through the first time, but for this particular test, I want to try to make this fail. So I'm going to use localhost. Do not use localhost unless it works for this install, which I doubt it's going to do, but you never know. So I'm just entering on each one of these lines until I get here for the iRods password. Now this password is for the database that we had set up. Come on, scroll up right here. So we're using test password. So that's what we need to enter here. TSTPASSWORD. Since it does not show you the password or asterisk or anything while you're typing this, I'm extra careful and slow about entering the password. So I typed in the password, hit enter, and then hit yes to confirm. And now it's to try to connect to the database. Now what I suspect is that it's not going to like this localhost. It's going to get to about step 3 and it's going to say, can't do it. But if it does work, then I'm totally confused and have no idea what happened on the previous installs to keep it from working. But we will find out here shortly. I'm sort of hoping that it will fail because I'll feel a lot better knowing that that was the reason probably why it failed. So remember, use 127.0.0.1 as your database host name, or sorry, IP address. So you would enter that IP address instead of localhost. Do not use localhost. Let's see. Still thinking. It's checking our cat. Blah blah blah. Updating. So see, it is able to see the local host is found. I'm not sure how this connection, how the script actually tries to connect to the database, but it apparently knows it's there from whatever query it ran to get to this point. So we'll see what it says when it gets to the next step. But the times I've tried it with using localhost, it has failed with the ODBC. Again, I think there is a conflict with the ODBC and using localhost as the name. So we're waiting. It should just be another second or two. I believe if it was, if the process were to not have any problems, this would be much quicker. So this leads me to believe it's going to error here shortly. Come on, show me the error. You know you want to. Give me some error message. Show me what I have done wrong. Yeah, I don't think this is going to work. I'm crossing my fingers. Inserting cat tables. Yeah, I'm going to get that far, but... Oh my goodness. Successfully worked. Okay, I'm totally at a loss. So anyway, I guess you can ignore what I said earlier about using localhost. It looks like it worked. Okay. So much for that theory. And now iRods, blah blah, say stopping, blah blah blah, updating, da da da. Well, looks like it worked. So anyway, that's the way you successfully install iRods, I suppose. Anyway, that's it. Gonna close down. Hope this was useful.